featuring stories from the leaders in venture capital. This is Venture Capital Radio with Shannon Pearson on AM 650.
And we just finished talking to one company that is very information rich, shall we say, on their website. And we're about to talk to another. We're going to talk to Greenpages directory. Connie Linder is the founder and president of that organization, and the site is greenpagesdirectory.net. And Connie, thank you for coming back into the studio. We talked to you last week, so it's a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about this project that you have, Greenpages Directory. But before we do that, I want to, the question that really came to mind for me about you, because I know you're award-winning, you're really well known in the business community for startup projects. So my question is, what drives you to look at a company over another company? What actually gets you curious about them and wanting to support them?
Well, from the business perspective, you want to see if their product or service is filling a need, because if it's not addressing some kind of a pain in their industry, then there wouldn't be a business model for it at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So I look to see that. I personally look to see the effects of what we would be investing in. So I would be looking at, are there social and environmental benefits that happen as a result of this? Mm-hmm. I'd want to know the market size. Is it a large market? And also, I want to see that they have a solid financial model, because frankly, the only businesses that are sustainable are the ones that have the economic viability. Mm-hmm. And that's a little bit of a non-traditional approach. Well, not that the traditionalists don't want to make money. Everybody wants to make money, but of course. What I found in my venture capital experiences is traditionally they ask, can you make money? And then, oh, by the way, does it have any environmental or social benefits? And that
the by the way part.
Yeah, so really my approach is just I look at everything a traditional business person would look at, but the importance of the impact is higher up on the list. I won't even consider the economic viability if I don't see that there's a benefit.
Okay, so your checklist is really just the four things. Does it fill a need? The social and environmental impact of what they do, what the company does, the size of market that they're in, and the business model. Will it actually make money?
Yes, and also the team. The team part's very important, especially with early stage companies, because you can have a brilliant entrepreneur with a mediocre idea and they can turn it into something fantastic. You can have someone who's got a great idea, but they're not able to translate that into an actual business opportunity.
Yeah, that's very true, and I think that's something that actually takes shape more often than we'd all like to admit in venture capital, because there's a lot of great ideas, but if building and running a business was that easy, I think they'd all be successes. Mm-hmm. But that's just not the case.
No, most of them aren't successes.
Well, Greenpages Directory, again, I want to remind everybody, it's greenpagesdirectory.net is the site that you can go to. Can you explain to me, just bare bones, what is the site?
Well, I'll actually break that answer down into the first answer that I gave you about what I look at, and this is why I'm committed to making Greenpages Directory successful, because I really do feel like we fill a need, and the need is that approximately 14% of the population in North America consciously purchase green products and services and are socially and environmentally aware consumers, and yet when you poll the average consumer, an additional 45%, so over 60% of the population, say that they would like to be more responsible in what they purchase, but they don't really know what to do. So we address this marketplace. And also, if you look at the needs of advertisers and the companies, 80% of the population also say that they want to know the good companies are doing. So we give these companies an opportunity to talk not just about what they do, but how they do what they do. And and also, sorry, I just had a perimenopausal moment. I should go on the Greenpages and find a natural remedy for that. So companies are looking for credible advertising options, and online advertising reached a milestone last year. It was the first time that it surpassed newspaper ads.
Right, I did read that.
So that's a huge transition, and online advertising spending is expected to double over the next 3 years. So that's an opportunity for a credible online advertising opportunity such as Greenpages Directory, where we are featuring certain kinds of products and services, certain kinds of companies, ones that have very good intentions. And it's not about perfection, it's about progression. So
okay. That's nice, actually. I like that phrase. It's about progression, not perfection.
Yeah, I've had people that are very purist in their thinking saying, well, why would you want a certain kind of company to potentially advertise on Greenpages if they're not purely 100% green? Well, first of all, things are always changing. So what's green today is not necessarily going to be green tomorrow.
So true.
And if we focus on solutions and if we focus on improvements, that drives the whole that drives the whole response from a company to wanting to be more responsible. If they realize that consumers are actually starting to pay more attention and ask more sophisticated questions, then they will actually feel more pressure to respond accordingly.
And also it seems to me that with the stats that you gave earlier in our conversation, that the market is over 60% of people have an interest in being more socially and environmentally responsible in their purchasing, that's a keen interest to companies to be a part of Greenpages directory.
Absolutely. And the other market too, because that's the business to consumer market that we've just talked about, there's also the business to business market. And if you look at the fact that large companies have the money to hire procurement specialists and hire sustainability specialists, small to medium-sized businesses in North America are the backbone of the economy.
Yes.
And they don't have the money usually to hire a specialist. So we also want to be able to offer our content to small to medium-sized businesses that want to procure, and 83% of those polled say that they are looking to green their supply chain over the next few years. So we see this presenting a really great opportunity for our content.
Very exciting. Now, that being said, there's a lot of politics involved in being social and environmentally responsible, and you know, you always wonder with some of those giant companies, or at least I always wonder, I should say, you know, are they actually being responsible? How could I find out? How could I do that due diligence? Is there any political involvement with Greenpages? Is there any kind of element of political?
Well, politics has its place, and for me it's not on Greenpages directory, and the reason is these issues transcend politics. These are human issues, and I believe that the solutions that we want to see in the world need to happen within the economy, not outside the economy. I don't feel it's our place to offer a political opinion. So for instance, if you look at Google's not political, it's just an efficient platform for doing a search. Greenpages directory is also efficient, and that's why we've built it the way we have, where people can do advanced searches based on certifications. They can sort by rating, they can find the closest response in their area, and so we really we want to do it in a non-political way. And also, I don't think that fighting against something actually supports the solution. I was in the movie theater with my daughter, and there was an advertisement for a petrochemical company, and people started to boo. And I thought that was interesting, because if we suddenly said to those people that were fighting against petrochemical companies, we're going to ban you from using your cars and your planes, I'm sure that they would start to find that maybe they should focus on supporting other alternative energy sources.
As opposed to just looking at the negative and being the critic, let's look at alternatives.
Yeah, we need oil and gas right now. Yeah. Would I want to support those companies in 30 years from now? Well, I would prefer to support the companies that have alternatives, because there's going to be a long transition time for us to create new infrastructure and new habits. We're all part of the problem. So I think we all need to be part of the solution.
And that solution can be found through Greenpages directory.net. And one of the questions I really want to ask you is, and it's a little bit blunt, so pardon me in advance, but why should people consider Greenpages directory.net a good investment?
Well, frankly, we really need the money.
And this is one of the things I love about you, Connie. You just call it the way it is. Well, but that's refreshing. A lot of people just want to just tell them the truth.
Well, I've been funding it for the last 2 years, and I've been putting my money behind it because I really feel like it's got great business potential. So, of course, I wouldn't feel comfortable, because I believe in karma.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel comfortable asking people to do what I haven't done myself. So I really believe it is a good investment. I feel like we've got the right tool at the right time, and I think we're doing it the right way. Is it perfect today? No. Is it going to be different in a few years from now? Probably. You know, I was reading this the book about Steve Jobs and about Apple. And if you look at how that company transformed over 5 years, they were very different in 5 years than they were initially. It didn't mean that they didn't have the opportunity to be successful. So we will be rebranding later in the year. We've had 2 years in the beta stage to find out what's working and what we can do better.
Okay.
So we're continually committed to doing that. But I'm a leader in this sector, and I've been ahead of the curve, and I feel like I have a pretty good handle on where I think we're moving. And I think as consumers start to understand the power they have in the actions that companies are taking, and companies continually respond to this, there's a new marketplace evolving. And we feel that our platform can really be a central figure in this marketplace and helping facilitate this kind of information.
Well, and I want to kind of toot your horn for you, because you don't do it very often, but not only are you a leader in the sector, you're an award-winning entrepreneur and actually nominated as one of the top most powerful women in Canada. So I applaud you for all the work that you do, and the fact that you do it with the social and environmental impact of these companies at the forefront of your consideration is admirable, and I really thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you.
So for more information about Greenpages, go to greenpagesdirectory.net. You can also contact Connie on her website, which is Insight Creative Communications.
Yes.
And .com? Okay, so insightcreativecommunications.com. And for any further information, you can always go to venturecapitalradio.com, where there will always be featured information about the people on the show. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll talk to you again.
Thank you.
This is Venture Capital Radio on AM 650.